Hello. I would like to start by saying that I don't have anything against the video game Dune Awakening, or the people who made it. If I did, I wouldn't be watching so many YouTube videos about it. But as someone obsessed with world building for the sake of it, I can't get over the fact that there are projectile weapons in the game. I know they explain it in game, I know ranged weapons make for a more fun game. This is purely a me thing. I just want to entertain the idea of how to introduce ranged weapons in a setting where shields like the ones from Dune exist. Also, keep in mind that I've only watched the films and a few lore videos. I tried starting the book but I didn't get far. It was way too long for what I'm used to, and I already knew what was going to happen due to having watched the films. So if there's any information in the books that contradicts what I'm about to say, feel free to correct me in the comments, without insulting me if possible. Okay, so we know that the shields stop fast-moving objects from passing through. This applies to bullets, and I assume also to darts and arrows. That's because the hunter-seeker drone can change its velocity on the fly, which it wouldn't have to do if it could just be launched by a crossbow or whatever. We also know that laser beams interact with the shields in a way that results to a nuclear explosion which kills both wielder and target. I'm imagining it like the handheld nuke launcher from Fallout. Or I guess an antimatter gun. But we need to know what can pass through those shields. Well, people need to see, hear, and breathe. So it's safe to assume that light, sound, and air are all things the shields let through. Let's take these one by one. Light. I already mentioned how laser beams aren't a good candidate, but that's not the only option. A regular light, albeit a very strong one, can be used to blind an enemy. Microwaves and gamma rays are also technically light. None of those options might be efficient though, as it would be hard to focus any wavelength of light without making a laser. Alternatively, a flashbang can do the work. The object itself doesn't have to make contact with the target in order to be effective, and can both blind and deafen the target. Which leads us to the next category. Sound. The navigator scene from the 1984 movie, which was great and I don't understand why it was cut in the Denis Villeneuve version, mentions sound-based weapons. It is also implied that such weapons will be a real game changer if developed, judging by how fearful the guild is of them. Now sound weapons do exist in real life, but they're not as widely used or presumably as practical as firearms. In a universe where Magi-Tech shields have made firearms obsolete, however, these weapons would revolutionize warfare. Lastly, we got air. Or particles in general, as that's what air is. My hypothesis is that there should be a minimum size, under which objects are just too small to be affected by the shield. That brings the possibility of particle beams, or plasma weapons. Though both of those require electromagnetic fields, and those may or may not have a similar effect as the lasers. My personal pick would be chemical weapons. We've seen the use of poisonous gas as a weapon in the movie. What if instead of having to smuggle it in your teeth you could just launch it inside a capsule? It doesn't even need a complex mechanism to activate. The shield will stop the capsule so hard it will break on impact, allowing the gas to pass through. It might even be possible to aerosolize acid and use it in a similar way. Imagine seeing someone shooting a bullet at you and thinking you're safe, only to get sprayed with acid point blank. Poisonous and acidic bullets are what I would invest in if I lived in the Dune universe. So that's it for this video, I guess.